There are two methods of overtime calculation in CenterPoint. This video covers the simple overtime process. This is a straightforward calculation where hours over a certain threshold are moved to an overtime earning with an overtime rate of pay. For example, any hours worked over 40 are paid time and a half. It works well for employers who pay weekly or biweekly and employees who have one hourly rate. If your overtime needs are more complex, if they include multiple overtime rates, average wage calculations, daily overtime, or if you pay semi-monthly or monthly, please see the advanced overtime processing topic. The first step is to create an overtime earning. Go to Setup, Payroll Details, Earnings. If you have an existing overtime earning from entering overtime hours manually, chances are you can still use that same earning. So you can go ahead and edit your existing overtime earning or click New to add a new one. Then you just need to enter or verify the information. It needs an abbreviation, a name, an expense account. The type needs to be manual overtime with a method of hourly. And then the multiplier needs to be correct for time and a half. That would be 1.5. And then just verify that it is marked active. When you save, if this was a new earning, it will prompt you to add the earning to employees, and you can click yes to add this new earning to multiple employees at once. If it's an existing earning, you can right click on it and choose add to employees to do the same thing, or you can add it to each employee individually under setup employees. The next step is to go to setup employees and add or verify the overtime earning. I'm going to edit my first employee that needs to be paid overtime, and then go to the Earnings tab. If you hadn't added the overtime earning, check the box at the bottom to add it to the top, and then select it here to display the details to the right. If the box is checked for Display Employee Grid, go ahead and uncheck it, and then just verify that the base rate and multiplier are correct, so it has a correct overtime rate. Make sure it is active and hit save. Repeat that for any additional employees who need an overtime earning, and that is it for the setup. So now it's time to pay the employees the overtime, and that is done through timesheets. So go to Processes, Timesheets, or if you use CenterPoint Accounting, it's Processes, Payroll, Timesheets. You can use our time import process to bring in timesheets from a time clock, or you can manually enter the timesheets here. To manually enter or verify, double-click on the employee. You want to enter the total time each employee worked as normal hourly pay. You do not need to separate regular time and overtime. CenterPoint will do that automatically when you import these timesheets into the pay run. And normally time would be entered for each day, but you can enter timesheets for total hours worked per overtime period. For example, if you pay biweekly, but overtime is 40 hours per week, you could enter just one entry for each week. Here I have daily overtime for 1 week, and then for a second week I have just totals. My first week I have 44 hours entered, so that's 4 hours of overtime. For the second week I have 8 hours of vacation and 36 hours of hourly pay, and I've done that to demonstrate that it does recognize that vacation is not hours worked. So if your vacation is set up as a leave type earning, it will not include vacation hours and overtime. So even though this is over 40, the second week won't have any overtime calculated. Go ahead and click Save. And then the next step is to just pay the employees under Processes, Pay Employees, or Processes, Payroll, Pay Employees. Click New to start a new pay run and fill in the pay run information at the top, selecting your pay period. And I am going to pay for a 2-week period here, even though my overtime is calculated weekly. Okay, select your employees to pay, and then click Import Timesheets. You will be prompted to perform a simple overtime calculation. If you don't see this prompt, it's probably because you've previously selected this option here, Don't Prompt Me Again. If that's the case, go to File, Preferences, Payroll, Timesheets, and set the Hide Simple Overtime Calculation to No so that you're prompted again. All right, on this prompt, check the box that you want to perform the simple overtime calculation, choose your overtime earning, and then fill in your hours over. So in my case, hours over 40 per week. But if you don't pay overtime until it's 48 hours, or you pay overtime starting at 36 hours, you can change that hours over. Or if you do hours over 80 worked in a 2-week period, you can change that to 80 and biweekly here as well. Then click Import. And that's just going to bring in the timesheets. And then go to the Enter Pay tab. Now here, if I expand out my timesheets, you can see that for this first week, I don't have my full timesheet for the last day because I hit 40 hours and it moved the additional 4 hours into the overtime earning here at my overtime rate of pay. For the second week, because I didn't have over 40 regular hours worked, 8 of these hours were vacation, it did not move any hours to overtime, and that just continued to be paid at the regular rate. And at this point, you are finished. You just want to verify the rest of your employees' time, process and post that pay run like normal.